trying to get you open. You like love sour, then you should come try my poison.
Oh, hey, welcome back to I guess, well, you're here again, so it's time for another first chapter. Okay, caught me by surprise there. I'm Rodney V. Smith. The V is for variety because, well, it's the spice of life, and, booyah and all that. And I'm a Wattpad author and star, and also a winner of the Wattie Award in 2018 for my book, The Canefield Killer, which is available on Wattpad, so please check it out. Now, of course, lots of my friends happen to be authors, and since I like to talk about what my friends are doing, I've decided one of the best ways to do that would be to read the first chapter of some of their books. Just reading the synopsis is never enough, Then with the first chapter, it tells you a lot about it, if you will like a book or not. You get an idea of what each of these books is about, and the work speaks for itself. This is usually my first time or second time reading, but this time I'm doing it live and on camera instead of, just silently while I'm reading. So it's kind of really different. This way you also get all the mistakes. There are no edits, and it's just the first chapters. So it's kind of like you're reading it for the first time too. Anyway, tonight's author is Clarissa North with her book, Worst Impressions, and it's available on Wattpad under her username, just all one name, Clarissa North. As always, the links are in the description. Okay, ready? Let's check it out. So we are going to start with the synopsis here. I'm going to skip the brief synopsis and go straight into it. Elisabeth Beth Bennett wasn't born in the same circle as the other girls at Netherfield Academy, but her mother's advantageous third marriage has allowed her to enjoy the world. Now she's at the end of her education and is looking forward to what lies beyond. That is, if she can make it to the end of the term in one piece. In a bid to bring in more students, the academy is going co-ed and has brought in the boys early to test the waters. Among them are Charlie Bingley, a cheerful boy with a soft spot for Beth's best friend Jenny. His companion, William Darcy, isn't at all pleased with the situation, or with Beth for that matter. While Beth tries to avoid interacting with the boys whenever possible, it seems fate is determined to throw them together. This is an adaptation of Jane Austen's classic, Pride and Prejudice. Just a note, Pride and Prejudice and the complete works of Jane Austen are in the public domain and can be adapted and interpreted without infringement on copyright. See also Mr. Darcy, Vampire, Lost in Austen, Clueless, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters, and this one I bet you didn't see coming, Bridget Jones's Diary. There's a ton of adaptations out there. So with that out of the way, let's get into the first chapter of Worst Impressions. So, chapter 1. Worst Impressions. It is a truth universally acknowledged that making an all-girls boarding school co-ed will cause a complete uproar. This was made clear when I was tackled into the side of my dad's car by my excitable roommate upon arrival at Netherfield Academy. Winded, I disentangled myself from Lisa's arms and held her wrists while she bounced on her heels. "Well, thanks for scaring the shit out of me already," I said. "Hi, by the way." "Beth, you will never guess," she cried at a pitch only dogs could hear. Overcome by joy and, I assumed, stacks of sugar, Lisa freed herself from my grasp and flung her arms around my neck. The shriek was unholy. My ears were still ringing when she jumped back. Clapping and giggling, she announced, "We're going co-ed!" "I know," I said. Any interest I might have had in her declaration had vanished. I turned away to open the car boot and heaved my suitcase from the back. The gravel crunched beneath its weight, and I fumbled with the handle. I noticed during literally all the assemblies, and from the letters, and from that huge frickin' protest from that weird action group. I also noticed, I said as I retrieved the duffel bag and slung it over my shoulder, that is happening next year. The year after we leave. Do you remember that part? Or did all their hair treatments finally lead to extensive brain damage? A mischievous smile passed Lisa's lips. Mischief was her trademark. I wasn't sure that Lisa knew how to be anything but. She was a 17-year-old imp who didn't appear to be in any danger of maturing soon. In a sing-song voice, she crowed, "Then I know something that you don't." Is this gonna be some piss-awful gossip, I asked. I'm so not in the mood. The boys are starting this year! Another shriek pierced my eardrums, and I winced against the noise. I loved Lisa like a sister, just as I did all my roommates, but there were some things I wouldn't miss when I left for university at the end of the year. This was one of them. It was a miracle she had rendered no one deaf in her presence. Great, I said, mustering no enthusiasm. It wasn't great. It was going to be a huge distraction. Honestly, American schools had that whole thing about girls covering their shoulders in case they distracted boys. No one had thought about what might happen if a small group of boys joined an overwhelmingly female school. Raging hormones aside, the fact that there wouldn't be enough of them to go around would lead to all sorts of infighting and drama that I didn't have the energy for. Besides, if I'd wanted to be surrounded by boys, then I'd have fought harder to attend a normal public school back home instead of boarding 5 hours away. I couldn't think of anything worse than sharing a classroom with burping, farting, nose-picking machines who were more greased than they were human beings. Lisa made a noise of derision at my lack of enthusiasm. She asked, "Can't you at least pretend that this is the best thing to happen in the history of forever?" "Not after a 5-hour journey, I can't." "But we could get boyfriends," she exclaimed. "Or," I suggested, "we could not. I don't think they're coming here just to go out with us. I'm fairly sure that they're looking to get an education." "You're so boring. And you are so bouncy. But I don't complain at you about it. Now, either let me take my stuff inside or stay and help me." I would literally rather die than be seen dragging that bargain basement suitcase. Lisa flashed a smile at my dad, who was stepping from the car while she skipped away. She didn't get far before she bumped into another group of girls. Eager to spread the news to anyone willing to hear it, she grabbed their hands and shrieked her excitement for everyone to hear. They received it better than I had and ran off to tell whoever else they could find. I was confident that the news would have reached every corner of the school by the time I reached our room. I didn't understand how Lisa was so hyperactive all the time. If I used up half the energy she did, I'd be burnt out before I got to lunch. The peace restored, I loaded myself up with as many bags as I could reasonably manage while maintaining the ability to walk. It wasn't an easy feat. Fortunately, my father was also on hand. Finished with whatever call from the garage he'd been forced to handle, he took the duffel bag off my shoulder and threw it over his own. "How about I help you with this one, Ellie Bear?" I cringed. "Oh my God, why are you still calling me that?" "I always call you that. Not in public." "Fine, Elisabeth. Beth," I hissed at him. "You're such a pain in the all right, I get it. You're not my baby girl when you're at school, but you'll always be my Ellie Bear when you're at home with me. You use that name one more time and I'll make it my business to get turned down from every university I apply to. Do you want a daughter without a degree? No, I don't think so." And that is the end of Chapter 1. Okay, so I guess that is it for Worst Impressions by Clarissa North. It was quite a read. You can check out more of Clarissa's work on Wattpad by following the link in the description, and you can always follow her on social media as well. Her social media and contact information is on her profile on Wattpad. That's all for tonight, so thanks for joining. Don't forget to click the like button down there and subscribe if you want to listen to me read some more first chapters. I update 5 days a week and there's always something new to find. Happy reading.